Welcome to today's episode of Ask the Guitar Coach. Here is the question for this day. How can I prevent minor loss of tuning from my guitar? So that's a really good question. There are several ways that you can try to prevent a minor loss of tuning from your guitar, but this really depends on why this loss of tuning is happening in the very first place. So let's follow some simple and very specific advice on how to maximize the chances of this not happening anymore. After you're done with your playing for the day, just take a piece of cloth and just wipe them dry. That's all you need. The next thing you can do is to make sure that you change your strings every 50 to 100 hours of playing, which is roughly 1 month of playing. It can be slightly less or slightly more depending on how much you practice with a specific guitar, but try to stay between 50 and 100 hours. Now, if your guitar is losing its tuning, if you've had the same strings for 4 months and you're playing all day with that guitar, then it's not a guitar problem or a string problem. They're not meant to last so long. To give you an idea, Aldi Meola, the very famous fusion guitarist, used to say that he changed his guitar strings every day so that you could have the bright sound and the intonation that you wanted. So if you're keeping your guitar strings on your guitar for several months, you probably should change them more often. Advice number 3. If you have a guitar without a locked tremolo, you should lubricate the strings on the nut with a graphite pencil. And here's how to do that. Once again, this guitar has an actual locking tremolo, so you cannot do that, but on a guitar without a locking tremolo, you just take the pencil and you lightly lubricate the slots right here. This makes the strings much easier to pass through, and it keeps tuning much better, and it also has less chances of snagging whenever you're doing a bend on your guitar and then you release. So that's a good idea to do on all your guitars that do not have locked tremolos. Now, moving on to the guitars that actually do have a locking tremolo, and usually a Floyd Rose, make sure that you have a look on your tremolo that it doesn't have any places where the guitar string snags when you're dropping or raising the bar, which is something that happens very often if the guitar has been used a few years. It's not an important thing, it's not a fault of the guitar, there's nothing wrong with your tremolo, but you just have to take a little bit care of it. So that means over here, if you're trying to move the tremolo down and the string snags here, then just make sure that next time you take your guitar to be set up, you tell the person who's doing the setup and he will buff it out just a little bit so that it doesn't get snagged at that point. Moving back to guitars that do not have a locking tremolo, here's a little bit controversial advice. I know that I've done it, I've had no problems doing that with my guitars, but not everybody agrees with this specific technique. So here it is. Take a small metal file and slightly widen the slots in your nut over here. This will make the strings pass through more easily, and there's less chance again of them catching somewhere, snagging and losing their tuning. So moving on to our next suggestion, and this one will require a little bit more of an investment on your instrument. Once again, this is relevant to a guitar that does not have a locking tremolo. And what I suggest is to change your tuning pegs with a group of locking tuners. This will make sure that the guitar does not lose any of its tuning from the tuning pegs, which is very often the case, and it will give you considerably more stability. In most of my guitars that do not have a tremolo, that do not have a locking tremolo, I have changed the tuning pegs and made them locking tuning pegs. Now finally, several people seem to have trouble when they first put the new guitar strings on the guitar, and they say that it takes several days before they break in. And by that time that they break in and they become dependable, the sound has become to diminish. So it's like losing all the fun of having the new strings. A good idea with that would be to, as soon as you put the strings on, to play something with a lot of bends so that the strings stretch a little bit. I always do that. I pick like a slow song like Parisian Walkaways or Still Got the Blues, something that has a lot of bending and a lot of vibrato involved, and I play a couple of times through it, and this way I make sure that I bend the string everywhere on the neck, and after that the string keeps its tuning much better, and it stays like that for almost the total duration of the time that I will have it on my guitar. So there you have it, 7 different ways to maximize the chances that your guitar stays in tune and to not have the problem of the minor loss of tuning that several guitar players complain about. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks for listening. Keep those questions coming. I'll be happy to answer. And I'll see you on the next episode of Ask the Guitar Coach.